So, Kevin, to kick this to you, this is a big AFC South battle in Week 8. How do you see this game playing out and why?
So obviously, I have a lot riding on this game as a Colts fan, but of course, as a football fan, you really look at this and you say, "Oh my God, the league's top two rushing leaders in Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor are going to go head to head." The offensive line for the Colts has been injured literally the entire year, from Quentin Nelson to Braden Smith to the benching of Mark Galowski and then the emergence of Eric Reed. I mean, there have been times that, Eric Fisher was even playing like crap and he missed the first two games of the year as well. So again, the Colts have had an injury bug like a lot of teams, but of course, as a Colts fan, I'm just absolutely livid because we have the potential to be great. And then the Titans, on the other hand, have been dealing with injuries on their side too. Nothing too significant in terms of, coming up this week, but A.J. Brown has missed time. Julio Jones has missed time. And then, of course, Bud Dupree was coming off of an ACL injury, and he's just getting back into game shape. But overall, both teams got a lot to play for. Carson Wentz has been playing good. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's coming off of the best game of the season thus far, absolutely annihilating the Chiefs. Derrick Henry continues to be a monster. And then obviously the Colts defense, Darius Leonard, the maniac himself, has literally been responsible or a part of 8 turnovers out of 16, in which the Colts are tied with the Buffalo Bills for the NFL's league-leading turnover count. So our defense is solid. Their offense is solid. Their defense is questionable, but they did perform insanely last week against Pat Mahomes. And then, like I said, Carson Wentz has been playing really good, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. The emergence of Michael Pittman Jr. has been absolutely incredible. And then the dominating performance of Jonathan Taylor. We are getting Braden Smith back. Quentin Nelson was back last week. So the offensive line is finally fully reloaded. We have a healthy running back backfield with Jordan Wilkins. T.Y. Hilton is questionable with the thigh contusion, if not the quad contusion, whatever they're going to call that. And our secondary looks pretty solid right now. Rock Ya-Sin is coming back. Xavier Rhodes is going to play. Obviously, we lost Julian Blackman for the season, but we are making do with what it is that we have. So I think that this is probably going to be one of the most healthy games the Colts have had all year. And I'm just excited to see it, be the good game that I know it can be. So I think that the Colts are going to actually lose this game just because I don't necessarily see us having the capabilities to stop Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Julio Jones. Ryan Tannehill showed, okay, you're going to stack the box, you're going to put 8 or 9 in the box. I'm going to beat you with my arm and my legs. We all know that people sleep and shit on Ryan Tannehill because he has a game where he'll have maybe 125 yards because Derrick Henry has basically 200 of them by himself. Or a day where Ryan Tannehill has 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. Or a day where he has a bad passer rating or bad completion percentage, whatever. I feel like Ryan Tannehill is one of the most quick to judge quarterbacks in the NFL because he has a game where he's trash and it's like, oh my God, he sucks. You should have never gave him $100 million. And then there's a game where he lights you up for 353 scores and then rushes for a touchdown. And you're like, wait, is Ryan Tannehill actually like an elite or comparable quarterback or competent, should I say? So I feel like if we're able to limit Derrick, I feel like Ryan's going to light it up in the air like he showed last week. However, the difference is our defense is significantly better than the Chiefs. So I feel like we'll be able to, give them a little bit more of an issue. Our problem is we're one of the worst teams in rushing the passer. So not to mention Ryan Tannehill is great at, making plays out of nothing and kind of escaping out of pressure. So we'll see what happens, but I stand by what I said. I see the Titans winning this game by about 7 points, maybe around the score of, 28-21, something of that magnitude. I see that, I feel like in this game, Carson Wentz has probably one of his worst games of the year in terms of struggling. I feel like they're going to make adjustments, and it's pretty much all on how Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to run the football.
This is a tricky one for me because I think both teams are going to have good games, respectively. I just think that the main points of focus in this game that I'm paying attention to are the defenses. Because let's start with the Colts defense. And obviously, the main factors that you have to take into account when it comes to Tennessee's offense is being able to slow down Derrick Henry and just the beast that he is with running the football. Now, Casey was able to contain him pretty well last week. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't need him to have 100, 150 yards rushing because Ryan Tannehill was able to light up that Casey secondary last week. So I think Indianapolis, their main point of emphasis is going to be able to slow down Derrick Henry. But the fact of the matter is, or the question that I should ask, is whether or not that can their secondary hold up against Ryan Tannehill and the wideouts that Tennessee currently has. A.J. Brown had a phenomenal game against Kansas City last week. Julio Jones, I don't know if he's dealing with some sort of injury. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to play in this game or not, but if he does, that is going to be a matchup nightmare for the Colts defense to contend with. And look, it's like you mentioned with Ryan Tannehill, Kevin. He'll have these games where he looks pedestrian at best. And then there are games where he looks like he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. And I think in this game in particular, I think the Colts defense is going to be able to slow down Derrick Henry because I think they're just going to stack the box and they're going to focus on, well, if Tennessee beats us, it's not going to be because of Derrick Henry. It's going to be because Ryan Tannehill lights us up. And we've seen that secondary with the Colts get torched this year a few times already. We saw it against Lamar Jackson famously in that Monday night matchup just a few weeks back. That was despite the fact that I thought the Colts offensively played one of their best games of the year. It's just that their defense was faced with some injuries in that game, and they really compromised on the back end of the defense, and that's why they ended up losing that game. And when I see this game playing out, I think that Colts secondary is going to have some issues if they just can't hold up against A.J. Brown and Julio Jones back there. And then when it comes to the Colts offense, going up against Tennessee's defense, I'm still of the mindset that Tennessee's defense is a subpar defense. But I have to give them respect on what they were able to do against Kansas City last week. They held Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense to the lowest point total offensively that they've ever had with Patrick Mahomes at the starting quarterback spot to 3 points. The Chiefs could not get any sort of rhythm going whatsoever in that matchup. And you got to give that Titans defense a lot of credit. They were able to make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable the entire game. He couldn't hit Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill consistently. And those defensive stops gave Tennessee more than enough time and enough room to be able to make plays to put points up on the board. And, that's why the Titans were so effective against Kansas City last week. But when it comes to this game in particular, I'm going to favor the Titans in this one just because I think they did a phenomenal job to get Patrick Mahomes off of his game last week. And I think it's going to be more of the same. I think they're going to be able to get some pressure on Carson despite the fact that, like you mentioned, the Colts offensive line is probably the healthiest that they've been at this point in the season. But I think that despite what that defense could do against the Colts, I still think that Tennessee is going to be able to give up some points here. But I just think that what Ryan Tannehill is going to present to the Colts defense, I think that he's going to be able to overpower that Colts secondary. And I do think this is going to be a game where I have it in the 20s. I think the Titans, they win this one like 27 to like 21. This could even be a game where it's only decided by a field goal, like 27-24 when it's all said and done. But I just think that Tennessee is the better team at this point in the season. And just look, if Derrick Henry really goes off in this game, then I think Tennessee wins this one by possibly 10 points or more. But I think the Colts defense is going to be able to contain them. I think Carson's going to have a good enough game to keep it close. But I'm going to give the edge to the Titans in this one. Like I said, 27-24, 27-21. But if Derrick Henry really pops off in this game, this could be a game where the Titans get above 30 points and win by 10 points or more. So I'm going to pick the Titans in this matchup.